Hello, it's Christine here for another episode of my Radiant Achiever Hour. I am extremely excited for the conversation we're going to have today with a very dear friend and colleague of mine, Estee Gubbay. Hello, Estee.
Hi, Christine. How are you doing?
I'm well. So grateful and excited for the conversation we're going to have today. Before I jump in, I want to let everybody know just a teeny little bit about Estee. She has a huge bio history of all kinds of things, including I recently found out having been an actress, which is super exciting and fun. A little tidbit about you, but kind of the most recent focus and endeavor of yours, or for a while now, has been as a travel advisor. So Estee is an experienced travel advisor who has traveled the world. And I've seen pictures that attest to that. She's curated enthralling trips for her family and many others. For more than 20 years, she's been facilitating workshops on goal setting and pursuing a life of balance and fulfillment. You are a gal after my heart because, as you know, I'm all about that myself.
Yes, and I'll tell you later how that works with travel.
Oh, perfect. Look forward to hearing that. She uses her expertise to guide you through each step of the process, and she has been helping her clients to really get a lot out of their trips. This is more than just going to a destination, right, Estee? And I know we'll dive into that a little bit. So once again, welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yes, great. Glad to hear that. So I do have some set questions, and we just kind of unfold this as a conversation. I love to hear what's on your mind. And I do know, and let's start with this, because I'm all about women who are following their callings. Estee has launched her book. Yay! Yay, congratulations. I was part of that process. Yes, please, stand up. And it was amazing to see it come to life. So I know, so the first question that I really want to talk about, and it can be the book, or I know you're up to other things too, is really telling our viewers about you listening to that calling, and how did it come to you? What did it feel like? And what was that initial maybe process for you to coming to terms with, like, putting that stake in the ground and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring this to life.
Wow. Yeah, that's a deep question. And I have to go back a little bit because I've been thinking a lot about this since the acting has been coming up in my bio. When I was young, I was living in a very suburban town, and maybe 10, 12 years old. I wanted to be an actress. I was an hour and a half away from Manhattan, and I wanted to go to New York and be on Broadway. And I had all these aspirations to get out of suburbia when none of my friends felt that way at all. And it was always strange. And I actually ended up going to high school in New York City at the High School of Performing Arts. And then I went to NYU. So I became a New Yorker, like I dreamed. And I studied drama because I was theatrical, and I liked to do improv, and I liked to meet people, different types of people, and actually experience different types of people, like as an actress. So I did that for a couple of years. When I was at college, I knew I wanted to go on a spring break trip, but I didn't have any money. But I wrote down on my goals, I said, I'm going to find a way to get a spring break trip in. And then, a few days later, I saw a posting in the cafeteria for students looking to plan and host spring break trips, and they get to go for free. And so I did that. I put flyers all over NYU, and I told all my friends, and I had like an information meeting, and I got to go free to Cancun with my best friend and 10 other friends for free. So, that was my very first group travel experience, which was kind of fun. And then from after that, I was still doing some acting, but when I moved to San Diego, I was doing a lot more workshops and retreats from my house. I had a big backyard, and I built it for retreats. And I was just really into learning lots of new things. And I think that's important. Like, if you're that kind of person that's constantly taking in information, I wanted that for myself. And so what I did was I invited people to my house. Literally, if I met somebody that was an expert, I wouldn't say, what class do you have, or where can I sign up for your retreat? I'd say, how about you do a retreat at my house? I'll bring the people and then I can go for free. You know? So I spent 20 years doing that around my children, raising my children, and having just lots and lots of exciting input into my life. And then when my kids got to the age where they could drive and they were kind of on their own, the bug started getting bigger to travel. You know, I wanted to go more places. I'd gone to many places with them, but I wanted to do more, you know, and that's kind of how the travel business got started.
I love it. Well, and one thing I want to say about how you're just going back to the college days is how you were really listening to your intuition. You had this little hit, right? Like, I really wanted to do this. You didn't sit and plot out, where should I go? You're like, I want to do something. And then shortly after that, you saw the posting. And I'm all about synchronicities and people seeing and experiencing those little things that just line up for you without any effort at all. And how amazing was that for you to feel that, see that, and then follow through to bring it to life.
And that's a big thing. I think a lot of people don't take the time to acknowledge what they really, really want, and then look for it. Like, just say it's going to happen and then just look for it. And then don't freak out. Don't get scared. Don't stop yourself. Just keep going for it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I know the keep going for it was definitely part of you bringing your book to life. And I know you're working on another project now. If you're open to share about it, or just something else that is like, what's a current calling for you? And I know you're a wife, you're a mom, you're a businesswoman, like, you are multidimensional, as all women are, as you know, I believe. And so it takes, it's not an easy effort to take that stand for yourself, to continue to follow through and really balance all those things. Tell me how you do that, and what's something new maybe that you're working on.
Oh, okay. Ooh, this is exciting. Okay. So, you know, with travel, what I did was I was doing those retreats and workshops from home. And then I moved out of that house and I moved into my vacation rental. So I essentially lost my 2 retreat spaces. And at that time I was like, well, I'll just plan retreats, you know, in cool places like Tulum in Mexico or Bali, you know, and that's how I also got back into travel again. And as I started building the travel business over the past 2 years, and especially when we had this little downtime, you know, because of COVID and the travel ban, I started working more on the details of my business, like my website and my offers. And what I had put together was a free offer on my website, which became the book. It started out as just, you know, a worksheet. And then I realized I had a nice talk, like a travel talk. And I said, oh, well, if I merge that with the worksheet, now I've got more material. And I just had time. It was a downtime and I used it to grow. So that's why I was able to kind of pivot during this time and stay successful and put out this book. And now, if you really think about it, some people say, who's thinking about travel right now? Nobody is, but it's not true. We're all home now. We have our grown children living at home, our college students at home. We've been stuck here for, 9-10 months. We are dying to travel, right? We want to talk about it and we want to plan. So how I pivoted my business, it was going from planning, each trip, like trip to trip, to helping people plan their whole bucket list of trips. Because now we have time to sink in a little deeper and think about, what do we actually want out of our trips? And what order should we do them in? Maybe now, while you're still young, is a time to do the more like rigorous, adventurous hikes and things like that. And maybe you'll do like the longer world cruise, a little bit later, or the safari. Maybe you have, 3 years left with your kids at home and you want to get in that African safari. So that takes 2 years to plan.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter if we're in a pandemic now, right? You're planning for 2 years from now. You got to start planning. Yeah. And as soon as that pandemic and that virus hits and everybody's doing well and we're traveling again, it's gonna be a boom. You're not gonna be able to get a ticket anywhere because everyone has these credits and things. So that's what I've been doing lately and how I pivoted my business. And then, I keep thinking, how can I make it bigger? How can I do more with this, right? And when I started promoting the book, I was doing different podcasts and some little TV segments and things, and people started asking me, so what's your big goal? Like what's next for you, Estee? And I thought about it and I thought, I'm really enjoying this the most, this interaction, whether it's, camera to camera or person to person. This is what I really enjoy. I don't mind booking a trip, on the computer, but it's more about talking to people about, what we're passionate about and what kind of experiences we want to have. So I just kind of said out loud on the phone with somebody, oh, I'd actually like to be a regular travel expert on, maybe like a morning show or something. And then after that, after a little while, maybe have my own show with like a group of women, like The View, something where we sit around the table and talk, and one person can talk self-development and I can talk travel. So that's how that even bigger vision became something that I could like really like believe, but little by little, I wouldn't have said it a year ago.
I love how you shared that story of the unfolding. And I say this often, and I see this in my life, and I share this with my clients, and is that when we say yes to that one thing and we follow through, we complete it, no matter how small and insignificant it may seem, it opens the door to that next evolution of our fullness, because there is no limit to who we can be and what we can experience. But you can't just start at the top of the mountain. You have to do those incremental little shorter trips, and then that you can get them longer, and you've got more gear to handle the journey too. So yeah. I love all of that. So what were some of the biggest obstacles that you faced? And they could be inner obstacles, which I love to talk about. They could be external obstacles in you, whether it's bringing your book to life, or as you see, stepping into that next bigger vision, or at any point in the journey.
Well, we already talked a little bit about COVID and the travel ban, and I think you guys got an idea of how I just stuck with it during that time and kept busy. But I think a more important time to talk about is if we go back even further, maybe 10 years, 15 years from this point before, when my kids were little, I had chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. At least that's what they called it. I was tired all the time and achy all the time. And now they've said it's something different. It's ethlostanlos, which means loose ligaments. But, I was going around for years telling the doctors, I think it's my ligaments. And, they'd check me for arthritis. I'm like, that's not a ligament, I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew I was tired all the time, and I was sleeping for like 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon. Like I was literally missing like from 3 to 7 p.m. every day. And it was really hard because I would sit in my bedroom in the dark by myself. I'd wake up, and by the time I got up, my family had a dinner already, and they, were watching TV. So I really had to work that retreat business around my rhythms, my energy rhythms. And I would have the meetings always in the morning, because in the morning I was alert and awake, and, so I've always done that. I've always planned, I always say I work flex time 24/7. I could never be in a job 9 to 5. I wouldn't last the entire day, but I can work, then take a 3-hour nap, then work for another 4 hours now. So that was my biggest challenge. And I'm feeling, so much better this year. I think part of it is just really getting your passion right. When you have something that you're doing that you really love and you got to get to, you want to wake up in the morning, you want to get to it. You can't stop at 3 o'clock. You'll just keep drinking coffee and keep going because, you're excited. And right. And that excitement gives you energy. And that's what it does for me. So now I've learned, to really balance it out, to know when I'm too stressed to take a break, and to know, not what my limits are, but what are the right, boundaries for myself to stay healthy. And I've been much more healthy than I have been in years.
Awesome. I love hearing that. And I wholeheartedly believe that when we are in alignment, like you said, there's something that happens. I know for myself, this, the energy that I have now, and I remember that time when I was not listening to my passions, and I was really just giving my energy away. It was such a drain, but now I feel like I can help others and, take care of myself and help others. And it's just a much better balance. And initially I think a lot of women, and tell me if this came up for you at all, feel like well, if I do more for myself, it's going to have a negative impact on the family or my friendships or you fill in the blank, my spouse. How has that been for you?
Well, I mean, I literally went from being bedridden to traveling the world. I mean, it was like that much of a opposite, you know? So, I just went and got it done. I know that I needed to get out of the house. Literally, I needed to get out, And so that's why part of the reason why I did the travel business. And then when I realized I could mix in the self-development into the travel business as a way to enrich other people's lives, like that gave me a whole nother spark and found a way for me to talk to other people about, like, right now, okay, nobody can really travel, but how rewarding is it just to have like a screensaver on your computer that has a picture of the ocean or a nice beach, or like just anticipating a future trip can be a wonderful form of self-care. And when I talk to people that way, they get it. They get it. I say, look, you can't travel right now. We know that. But if you have a trip planned for as soon as, the travel ban is over, that's something for you to look forward to. That means there's an end to this at some point, And so for me, like, that's a big form of my self-care, is knowing that, like, I have trips planned to take, as soon as this is over, and that, I can share that with other people, give them little bits of pictures and things, videos of beautiful places that they can dream about.
Right. I love that. I can so feel that. And I have your book, as you saw, and over Thanksgiving, my daughter's here for 6 weeks, and we started talking about, just brainstorming some ideas for trips, and it spawned some other ideas that I hadn't thought of. And we like the idea of a train trip. And so we haven't sat down and continued our discussions yet, but just igniting that thought and the feeling in my heart that, oh my gosh, we can actually make something happen as a family. My kids are 25 and 26. And it's exciting, just that initial spark to think about, oh my gosh, we can actually pull something together with your book, start planning things out for it, because it probably will be 2022 with my kids' work schedules and vacation time and things like that. So that's very exciting to me. And you said something I would love for you to dive into a little bit, is how travel can be part of our growth journey. Yeah. And I know that's, we're both steeped into that in our businesses. It's who we are as coaches and facilitators. So I haven't really thought about it, I think, in the way that you teach it. So I'd love for you to share a little bit with our viewers.
Yeah. So in the book, it's a different kind of book. It's a combination of almost every kind of travel book you can get, just all put into one, with a little mixture of, like I said, the self-help book mixed in. And, I talk about not first planning the destination. A lot of people want to know, what's the hottest destination to go to right now? Or what's the safest destination to go to right now? And really, that's not the most important thing. That is the last thing you want to think about. You want to think about what you want most out of your trip, what kind of experience you want to have. If you want to learn something new, like you may have a hobby or an interest that you want to explore further, and where is it the best place in the world to do that? That's how you decide where to go on a vacation.
I love it. So it's that inside out approach.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Now I really get it. I love that.
Yeah. And that way, you can add in whatever you want. Like, a lot of it for me, when my girls were younger, I wanted to teach them about the world, and I wanted them to be brave. Those were like the two big things that I wanted. So when we went on trips, even when they were very little, we went to unique places. We were around locals. We did things, even like when they were like 8 years old, we started them zip lining. It's not that dangerous, but it feels like it could be dangerous. And you just feel brave when you're on a zip line, right? So things like that, scuba diving and things like that we did that, taught my children to be brave. really. And now they're not afraid of anything. You know, you can put them in, put them in a boardroom with a bunch of adults and they're just fine, because they've had many, many experiences with different types of people. So there's lots of ways you can enrich your life, like I say, through travel. And it just basically, first you need to take some time to reflect on what's important to you, what you want to learn, how you want your memories to be, afterwards, like what kind of memories do you want to create on this trip?
Right.
It's okay.
That approach definitely did help me with my kids, because in the past, vacations got forced on them. We're going to Hawaii, we're going to Mexico, right? We didn't ask what do they want, and so now it's I think even more fun, because it's one of those things I see that we can have all our desires and our needs met, right? Somebody wants this type of experience and that, and how can we, whether it's all in one trip or we plan it out over several trips, like
Sure.
it's more of a team effort. And I love how that feels
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
mom of grown kids.
With anybody you're traveling with, whether it's a spouse or some girlfriends or whoever it is, if you first decide what kind of activities you want to do, then everybody's on board, and I just want to say, it's okay to just go sit on a beach. I'm not saying you have to like have this big adventure every time you go on vacation. Maybe you just need to recharge, and sitting on the beach and recharging is exactly the kind of experience you want to have. That's okay too.
Yeah.
I know for me, like when I went through that time period where I was really aching and tired all the time, like there was a trip that we took with my family to Cancun, and we were at an all-inclusive, and it was really busy and everything, but I would find like the quiet adult section, and Paul would play with the girls in the big family pool. And then every other day I would go with them on whatever outing we did, because in Cancun, there's a lot of different like ecological theme parks. So you can go like ATV rides and snorkeling and just all kinds of things. So I'd go like every other day, but they'd go every day. And on that alternate day, I'd nap on the beach. And so that way it was balanced for me. I could do that. And nobody was sitting around because I wouldn't let them go.
I love that. Yeah. Love that. Awesome. So that I think really helps. Well, that helped me get a deeper vision of what's possible. And thank you for sharing that. I think that's going to light up the eyes of a lot of people to hear that. And yeah, so get this book, people, The Travel Bucket List. It's a bestseller on Amazon right now. So I want to switch a little bit to again, this journey. And I remember, because we've known each other for a while, and I've spoken at events that you've hosted, and we are part of a mastermind together now, which is amazing and fun and empowering. And I remember something you had shared with me at one point is that you considered yourself, I hope you don't mind me sharing this.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
In advance.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, if I'm saying it right, remembering it right, a failed overachiever.
Yeah.
So tell me what you mean by that. And you still feel that way now?
No, not so much. Not so much anymore. First of all, I haven't failed at anything. I'm still working on it. There's no end. That I've learned, first of all. But, I am not, very young. I had tried a lot of different things in my lifetime, lots of different businesses actually. And every time I do so, I'm kind of really project based. So I will jump into a project like full on force. And then a lot of times they're not successful. You can try different businesses and they're not all going to be successful. And so for me, that's how I felt that way. Also, we've done well in other areas of our lives, in real estate investments and other things. So, people, when they come to my home, they see that we're successful, that we've done well, but I didn't feel successful deep inside, because I didn't feel like I had earned that necessarily for myself in a way that felt right, that felt like an accomplishment, per se, and so I had always wanted to take it from like this little side business, the workshops, or, the little side business of travel, and make it something bigger, and so that's what I had to do. I had no choice to do that. I said, how can I make this bigger? What would make me feel like I have the recognition that I want? from others and from myself, and have that, what do I need to actually achieve to make myself feel that way?
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of what I see for you, and I think we're great mirrors for each other. I definitely, back from my IT days, it was a project, and it was this, 6 month, 1 year, maybe at the most it was a 2 year. Most of them were you can see the beginning and the end. When you're bringing I call it your calling or your passion to life, yes, we can launch the book, we can do this, but it's a much bigger time frame, right?
Yeah.
And so I just lost my thought here on this, but it was about like I feel like you feel the potential that you have inside yourself, and the success and which on the flip side, to me, that's fulfillment. It's kind of how you define success is, you've got this potential, you've got
Yes.
these ideas.
Yes.
And to actually, like, damn it, I'm gonna bring this vision right to life. And where you sit now, do you feel like you're on the path to actually do all that?
Yeah, I had, when I was facilitating a lot of mastermind groups, kind of like the one you and I are doing together, I had 3 going at the same time. And I had a mentor that, was teaching us how to do these major mastermind groups. And we went out to dinner, and I said to him, I'm being underutilized. I just feel like I have more, I can do more than this. Like my best talents are not being put to use or something. And he agreed with me. He goes, yeah, I can see that, but
Right.
I didn't know how to get past having, 8 women in my living room once a week. That's as big as that mastermind kind of went. Well, 3 times a week, but how do I make it bigger? Right. And so now that I've combined the travel business with that same like kind of balance and fulfillment type of business, with that, self-development and a little bit the acting too, because I'm performing, in a sense. I'm on camera in these interviews. I'm putting myself out there in that, I'm saying to the world, I'm ready to be on your morning show. If you want a travel expert, I'm going to dress the part. Today I look like a newscaster. That's all. That's all my acting biz coming back. So now I feel like I'm utilizing almost all my skill sets, or at least a lot of my skill sets, rather than in the past where I've maybe used one.
Got it. And that is so energizing because, again, we're multifaceted. We have all these gifts, talents, and abilities that we fortunately have accumulated from our journey up to this point, right? Everything you've done, everything I've done has put me exactly in this place right now, right here, where we're talking together. And we want to continue to celebrate and acknowledge that, and then say, and I'm ready for that next thing. So I love how you just have named, this is what I'm ready for. This, and I'm showing up, I'm dressing the part, I'm saying it out and, loud to the universe that I'm ready for this next level. And as a radiant achiever, and what I teach, like that's a cornerstone element, is to vision it, to speak it, and then to show up as if you're already there.
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And you're doing it, girl.
Yeah, and there's something else you taught me through your book, and just by working with you in general, to own your own self-worth. I think a lot of us that raised our kids and maybe didn't have like a full-time job where we were worth a certain amount of salary, we'd get that bonus at the end of the year, and that kind of set our self-worth. When you don't have that, you tend to think you have no self-worth. And this, I went through this with a lot of my own mastermind groups, because I had a lot of women trying to find fulfillment, right? And that's where they were at that level, and they were like, $10 an hour? I don't know. Like, I don't know, I'm not worth anything.
Right.
It's really hard, because you end up being the one who does all the errands, and like, just your time is free, apparently.
Right. Right.
So when I started doing the book, that was really the first time where I like invested in my business. Even though I was building the travel business, 2 years before, I would do like small investments, but not big investments. And now, publishing the book and having a, marketing and publicity team and all that, it's like, it's scary, but I'm investing in myself for the first time. I had no problem investing in my husband or investing in my children to any degree. but to myself, and to be honest, I had to prove I was worth it a little bit to my husband, because he was used to me being, that way before. And I had to say, wait, I'm sorry. This, if I don't care if this has to be an argument, this is my business and I'm investing in my business, and that's hard to do.
Initially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not always going to win. Some of those investments that I did not work out, did not, have any return, but that's normal in business.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've had a lot of offline conversations about this, but I'm so grateful you brought up this point. And I think it's a key message of your journey and so many other women's journey, and for sure my journey too, where we weren't owning our worth. We were looking at it as, I'm not bringing in an income right now, or the income is at, this level from my side business. And it didn't compare to what our spouses were doing. So I saw myself as a second-class citizen, and was not willing to invest in myself to any degree for many, many years. And fortunately for both of us, that shifted. And now I think we're both like really wanting to speak that to other women. If, you are worthy for just who you are, and to really, nothing but good, I believe, can come from honoring who you are, what you're desiring to bring to the world. And there's always something you can do to move your project, your passion, your calling forward. So, yes. Okay. So I've totally ignored my list of questions here, which is perfect. Not totally, but you actually touched on a lot of things. And, but I'd like to kind of bring it back to you and all the different messages that you take a stand for. And if you could share one key thing with our viewers today as we wrap up, what would you want to leave them with as a nugget to think about?
Well, I think, you hit the nail on the head. You have to, value yourself and your self-worth and your business. One of the things that I didn't do until quite recently is actually use a separate business account. I had one, but I wasn't using it. I wasn't tracking it into there because I thought my little bit of money is not going to make a difference compared to Paul's salary. So I don't want to look at it, but then I realized, by doing that, I could say, okay, I know this business takes 2 years or 3 years to build. It's okay if it's not, making a profit at first. And it's okay to invest back into my business. I'm investing my own money into the business. I'm not investing the family's money or my husband's salary or whatever it is into it. It's a business transaction now, and that makes all the difference in the world to me. I don't have to go to, and this was I told you, I kind of had this battle with my husband a little bit, but now I don't have to go to him for, permission again,
Yes.
Right? I say, this is my business, and I haven't talked to him that much recently about how much I'm putting into it, because I do have money in the account because I have booked a lot of travel recently. So, that's the key. I think treat your business like a business. The other really important thing I'd like to get across is that, everybody starts out somewhere, and you may be trying something new, but that doesn't mean you don't have the skills to do it or some past life experience to help you be successful. So even though I started travel, 2 or 3 years ago, I had been traveling a long time with my family, and I had been doing these bucket list trips that I had talked about. And it almost wasn't until I wrote the book and gave some examples that I realized that I walk the talk. I am an expert at this. And I realized a lot of travel agents don't travel that way. They don't have the income, or they don't have the family, or whatever it is. They just go and visit hotels and do site inspections. But I'm actually staying in these hotels with my family and experiencing them. So even though I didn't have 30 years of, booking airline tickets, I had something else that was valuable to my clients. And sometimes you just need to be a little bit ahead of your clients for them to want your advice. I think that's important.
You are definitely someone that walks the talk. And when I looked through the book and I saw, here's another family photo, you are absolutely doing that. And 2 powerful points for women to consider, and men too.
Mhm.
as they do look to step into more fulfillment, more success, more joy and fun in their lives is you've built all these skill sets as you've gone along. So start looking there first. So
Absolutely.
I got a little tickle in my throat. Estee, this has been a blast. I am so grateful we finally did this. We've been talking about it for a while, and I look forward to seeing what comes next for you. And I know we'll be seeing more of you on the screen in all different formats. So,
And I'm a big fan of yours, so I'm looking forward to this show. And I just want to put it out there for all your other viewers, get to the point where you feel comfortable to do this too. It's a process. You have to get there. You have to start somewhere. So, Christine, have somebody like Christine there to support you. That's a whole nother topic, but that's huge, huge. Just to have one person that believes in you can make all the difference.
for sure. Well, thank you,
Thank you for your mentorship.
Oh, it's been an honor and a lot of fun. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.